Yeah, we got to hang out, get some chicken, and do other silly things. Actually, Rapid's all over the place. I know this joke's about me being a vampire and never needing sleep, but this dude somehow is always like on Twitter. That or he's got a bot that just favorites certain people's tweets all the time. Always, I don't know. But this guy's like always awake and he's always around.
I mean, I have the feeling that, like, it's like I could be awake and play video games or sleep and not play video games. So it's like, it's not much of a contest.
Well, I will say I appreciate your dedication, sir, and envy it a little bit.
I just had somebody compliment me for just being way too addicted to playing video games. So I'm just going to, like, clip this and send it off to my parents and be like, see, it paid off eventually.
This is like, I tweeted a joke at a really bad joke at Artosis, and he responded by LMAOing, and I wanted to, like, screenshot that, frame it, put it on my wall, and be like, every time I tell a dad joke, just, like, kiss the portrait a little bit, that sort of thing.
Hey, Artosis is like the actual dad that tells dad jokes, so that's pretty great. But I guess I can be like the adopted kid to BaseTradeTV today. So right now, I guess we were just looking for games. It's like, how do you pick just one? There's actually just like so many good players playing.
So I poked both Stats and Kelazhur. I know Major's here, but I don't know which name he's on. I know like right now for those Major changes his name all the time, and I think right now he's going by Special, but I don't see Special in the chat.
Oh, you mean like online? Okay, I was like, yeah. Well, he's right here in the bracket. It's literally Major SC2. Duh.
Oh, Kelazhur's playing Liquid HerO.
Oh, okay. See, I always get the heroes messed up. I actually took a picture with one of them at GSL when he was playing, and it was like CJ HerO, not Liquid HerO. And I tagged the wrong one because Twitter auto-completed it.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh my god, you don't even know which one it is. Ah!
You're so embarrassing. I can't believe I brought you into the cast.
There's actually, like, I think 3 heroes. Yeah, because there's like a Brood War hero, too, who's playing in the ASL qualifiers. So, too many heroes out there. I mean, I know there's that, like, magical rule that says that, like, Korean players have to pick, one-syllable names that are English words. But I feel like HerO is, like, way too overrepresented. There's, like, another name that was, like, really, really overrepresented. We've had several Frozen players. There's, like, 2 League players and a StarCraft player. I'm trying to remember the other ones. We've got both Billowy and Cloudy playing, so that's pretty cool. Lots of nice cumulonimbus action going on. What's your favorite kind of cloud, Rifkin?
My favorite kind of cloud?
You more of like a stratus, like a cirrostratus kind of guy. I'm more down around the cumulonimbus area. It's kind of where I like to hang out.
Actually, I know that may not have been the direction you're heading for, but I'm going to pick the Nimbus. The flying Nimbus, to be precise.
It's pretty good. I wish I had one of those. Then again, I don't really need people looking at me like I'm any weirder for flying out of clouds, so one step at a time, I guess.
Join the game if you can, by the way. So we got, I think, was it Revolution HerO? Is that his clan now, or... It's not Team Liquid anymore. We all know that, but I'm trying to remember what his name is. It's like Rev or whatever. But if you can, please.
Mm-hmm. I am here, ready to go.
Yeah, and HerO has, for those who don't know, we have a rule on BaseTradeTV, barcodes, but we kind of meet the Korean players halfway, and we're like, if you put like your name in the clan so that we can identify that it's you, then we're fine with that. But HerO's actually, I guess, just got his other account named HerO, so he's gonna relog and go play on that. But Kelazhur versus HerO. This will be really interesting because Rapid, I don't know how much you've been watching or casting HerO. I haven't seen him recently, but in the past, this guy came out for the Alima League and he would just cheese. Like, and I'm talking like whether it's DT Russian or proxying buildings, like he was really super cheesy.
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit more, and this is kind of ironic for me because I live out in Korea. I'm a little bit more familiar, at least recently, with Kelazhur. Has been playing in things like WSG, and then of course come over to Korea and got a chance to check that out a little bit. But it's always nice for me to see guys like HerO, who at one time was like one of the most popular Korean players, at least in the foreign scene. It kind of like faded into a little bit of obscurity and is now coming back. And if I was a player and I had to make a name for myself or just like want people to like really cheer for me, I would go for those crazy cheeses. So it's nice to see that he's at least out there doing some exciting stuff.
Hello again. Sorry, what's that? HerO's rejoined on his barcode. HerO, you know how to make clan? Like how I have caster? Can you make...
Yeah, so for everybody wondering what's going on, HerO like was gonna change to an account that had his name in the ID, and so he changed and he was like, uh-oh, that's a barcode too. So it doesn't quite work that way. So we're gonna see if he can make a clan called HerO, and then that'll show up.
Making a clan actually takes like 10 seconds, and it shouldn't be a problem. But it is the question of like, if you've never done it before, maybe you don't know how to.
I've never made a clan, Rifkin.
Well, unfortunately, I can't even invite you to the Caster clan because Zombie Grub has lead of the one in Korea.
Oh my god.
Feels bad,
well, Zombie
man.
Grub did in fact just retweet me, so maybe she's out there and can log in from her flight to Paris. I'm not sure if she's actually still on the plane.
She should be landed by now. It's been like 15 hours or something.
I have no concept of how long it takes like people to fly different places in the world. All I know is it took me like 16 hours to fly over to South Korea from Texas, and that was way too long.
Yeah, dude, going to Texas from even British Columbia is way too long for me.
Oh yeah, how long was your flight?
For when I went to Korea, or
yeah, from when you went to Korea.
It was weird. I think it was like 13 hours there, but it was only like 9 back or something.
I'm not sure that's the way time works, Rifkin.
Well, so that's what I said, and it didn't make sense to me. But then someone talked to me about how you're actually like when you're flying there, you're flying against the revolution of the Earth, but you're flying with it or something on the way back, so that's why it takes less time. I don't know. It made no sense because I'm like point A to point B in my head. That's what I'm thinking. I'm not thinking of like the Earth spinning underneath it.
All I do is flush the toilet and see which way it spins, Rifkin. That's the only way I know where I am.
Okay, so what? This is the equivalent of like wetting your finger and holding it to the wind, and you're like, "Yup, I'm in Korea. The toilet's spinning the wrong way." Like what?
No. Because if you're on a different hemisphere of the Earth, the water spins the opposite way depending on which side of the equator you're on.
Right, but what I'm saying is your thing nails it down to 50-50 on whether you're on like one half of the Earth or not. It hardly nails down like, "Oh, I'm in Korea versus Australia." Like.
It's a joke. Didn't work out, but you know what? We all get one. That's
you're supposed to. No, see, this is where you're supposed to argue even harder, right? Because you're American at heart. You got to double down on your stance and prove like.
No, I'm actually just an egg. I'm white on the outside, yellow on the inside, so I'm basically Korean. I even dyed my hair black, but now it's like undying itself, so it's like a little bit brown in between there. I'm gonna have to go get that redone so that nobody knows I actually don't have like the non-Korean hair color. Although I would say there are actually so many Koreans with just like fully dyed wacky hair colors. I don't think I could both have one of those and be marketable on television. So one of these days I'm gonna get something super crazy done. Have you ever thought about dyeing your hair?
I actually have had dyed my hair several times in my life. One of which was bright pink.
Okay, see, I just can't envision that right now.
No, because as an old man adult, I wouldn't do it again. But high school, I had bright pink hair.
Oh, high school Rifkin, probably the coolest cat.
Oh yeah,
well,
certainly. Meow.
I gotta type cool cat in chat. There we go. Oh, I can't actually do that because I wasn't following the channel.
Wow, you're not. It's in followers only mode for like an hour, dude. So you can't type for like an hour either. Way to frickin' go.
Damn it.
Embarrassing. I can't. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the BTSL. We're off to a magical start over here. I'm Rifkin, casting tonight with Rapid Casting. And this is the first best of 3 of the day. Looks like despite all of our efforts to give him a clan tag, and it was working, it's not showing up in game. So that kind of sucks. In the top right, it's the blue Protoss, the barcode known as HerO. But this is ex-Liquid HerO.
That is true. He is now currently on Team Revolution, and here to revolutionize the Korean scene on the other side is the Red Terran player. This is Root Gaming's Kelazhur.
All right, and I need to, I guess, put a little thing on the overlay, because in fairness, guys, a barcode looks hard to read and hard to understand who that is.
Well,
who's
actually,
just tuning in.
barcodes are like the easiest name to read, Rifkin. You just like read I-I-L-I-I-L-L-I.
Are you sure about that? And that's not I-I-L-L-I-L-L-I?
No, you're blowing my mind. This is too much, too difficult to...
Hey, how do you pronounce this word? W-I-N-D.
That'd be wind.
You sure it's not wind?
Oh my god. I was not told that there would be a test, Rifkin.
I didn't bring my number 2 HB pencil. My goodness.
Hey man, I failed way too many tests using pencils like that, so I had to go up to a number 3, at which point it was just way too hard to write the test. So I guess we should probably talk about some like StarCraft stuff that's going on. That's just like happening. I'm actually just like a hashtag big fan. So whenever I cast, I always have to remind myself, oh, I'm supposed to talk about the game, not just like sit back and watch it.
Oh. Well, I guess when I told you before we got going, we didn't have any rules. That's true. But also, like the number 1 rule is on BaseTradeTV, we don't talk about StarCraft 2.
Well, clearly I'm in the wrong place. I was brought here under false pretenses against my will, Rifkin.
Well, actually, in fairness, though, not a lot really truly is happening yet, but I am keeping an eye. HerO's gone all over the place with this probe, and I thought for a moment it'd be a proxy, but we're kind of past that point for timing. Kelazhur gets here and does an interesting old school move with that engineering bay block, but the Reaper's not going to get much done in the main. Scouting is...
I did get one, though. That's one more than I would get with my Reaper, Rifkin.
Do you play Terran? I don't actually know.
I do play Terran.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I realize now that I don't actually know which race you played.
Yeah, I feel more and more insecure every time I watch Zombie Grub play, because she also does that. But here we do have a pylon building at the ramp, Rifkin.
Well, this is actually going to be fairly easy to push back. He's going to get the 1 overcharge, and that's going to get him a depot. I don't think it shouldn't be able to tear down the reactor. Thanks to this spawn locations not being reversed, he can get SCVs on that, and it won't be in range of the overcharge. But Kelazhur a little hesitant to actually come repair, so he's going to lose the reactor.
Wow, yeah, he is actually, okay, there it is. Yeah, it does finally go down. Cyclone out, though, should be able to clean this up.
Yeah, the Cyclone brings a lot of damage just because the pylon got melted. It might not have the bonus damage versus the depths, but the really quick damage helps push this back. Lock-on doesn't do much to air. It's so bad.
Lock-on now, because keep in mind, like I'm envisioning, old, mag field accelerator lock-on that actually just did a bazillion damage and could kill anything from halfway across the screen. So I'm like watching this, I'm like, how far have you fallen? This is like when you're like 18 and you get that tattoo, and you fast forward like 80 years old and the tattoo's where it's not supposed to be. Like that's what the lock-on for anti-air is for the Cyclone now. It's just, it's seen better days, man.
Also, I would like to just point something out in chat. Folks are asking why is Maynard not casting? Why did I grab Rapid? 2 different parts of this, guys. One is I actually would just like to cast with Rapid, if that's okay. But then secondly, for like 4 fucking years, I've asked Maynard to cast things that he's never been available. So he is not my go-to man when it's like I could use a partner.
Well, we can all actually just be friends and like doing everything with everyone all the time.
That's true.
That's what I like to say. People like to make it out. It's like, is this game better than this other game? It's like, I like this caster and I hate this caster. I'm like, well, like we can all actually just get along and like be happy and stuff.
Oh my god, I'm now aware these shirts you're wearing are not just loud, they're tie-dye because you're a hippie.
Oh my god. I just
preach
love
world love,
video.
man. Should all get along, man.
Unless you're playing StarCraft, then you're trying to kill the dude. So this is not called, like Lovecraft. Then it'd be good at writing literature and making movies.
I feel like Lovecraft would not actually be StarCraft related. It would be horror related on account of the fact that is the name.
Yeah, but Lovecraft has terrible taste in computers because he buys HP instead of, things like I'm just going to shout out Corsair, even though they don't make computers. So here comes the Immortal pushing up. This is actually a really
at,
interesting push timing.
It is, but I really like the wall Kelazhur was setting up. That tank was actually so perfectly nestled back, so as we see the Immortal derps getting close to it, it takes a while. The tank gets 2 shots off, and he actually holds this with like a single tank and a Cyclone and a mass repair on those SCVs.
Hey man, SCVs are good units, able to completely save that tank, but now ferrying into the main, this is going to force lifts and make this even more difficult to defend with another Warp in.
Yeah, the Warp Prism actually should get pushed off here. He's got a really nice lock on, and while it doesn't deal a lot of damage, it deals enough damage. So this will shut this down, and this was quite a bit of dedication for HerO. Not just in terms of, okay, he brought some units and shuttled them across the map as quick as he can, but he skipped out on a lot of tech to make this happen. No Resonating Glaives, no Blink, no +1. He's just finishing his forges now.
He's going to lose that Liberator in the middle of the map because he, for some reason, decided just to turn it all the way back around. That was actually a super scary push, and so really, great job there by Kelazhur to be able to deal with it. Almost more impressive than just like the micro that it takes is the ability to know exactly how many units you need where, when to pull your SCVs to repair, and Kelazhur was just like right on top of that every single time.
Yeah, again, it's a subtle nuance too, but that wall, that positioning on that tank, if that tank was like 1 grid space forward, he would have been in range of the Immortal to shoot from the wall. There would have been no derping, and he would have lost that before he could have pulled the SCVs too. So, I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff that just went down there, even though it was all very subtle and perhaps underappreciated. But while this goes on, we do have HerO moving towards Colossus. And I don't know about you, because I know you've seen a lot of different games than I've seen, but we've both seen a lot of Korean StarCraft. I'm not sold on Colossus right now in this matchup.
Yeah, definitely not. They take a long time to get out there. You need numbers, you need the range, and even then, I feel like they're supposed to deal with, mass amounts of bio, at least in this matchup, and then the bio just like stims and stutter steps forward, and the Colossus just dies anyway. So I'm like, okay, well, that's not really a great way to deal with that. Nice job taking out the Observer at the front, and I want to call that play, that super epic defense, I want to call that the Rifkin defense, because it's subtle and underappreciated.
Oh shit, you just earned so many brownie points you don't even know it!
Yeah.
Alright, well,
people think casting is just about being good at casting. No, man. You gotta get your compliments on point, too.
Yeah, you gotta get that brown nosing going. I do want to point out, though, Kelazhur's hitting like 4 different perfect timings right now. Stim, combo shells, concussive shells, +1. He's looking to go for a push. And while there are 2 Colossus here, I feel he's got more than enough to tear them down. The Cyclone's going to bring a lot of damage. The fact that it lived from earlier is cool, but let's not forget, there's still tanks over here. There's a lot of Marauders that have already been produced. Kelazhur's army leads by like 20.
Yeah, taking out another Observer there as well, so no more vision of this high ground for HerO, and that means that he's going to have to pick one direction or another, and he won't know where Kelazhur's army is. There's a lot of Marauders mixed in here too, so that is going to make that pretty good. Forcefield's going down there. Here come those extended thermal lances. We'll see how much work they can get done.
Doesn't seem like a lot. The one tank gets in a position. He's going to scooch that forward. The SCVs already get pulled away from this. Well, maybe he denies the base mining for a brief amount of time. I do want to stress, like, HerO is pretty committed with this. He sacrificed a lot of tech to get to this point. He's just finished up his own 1-1. And again, we look at it across the board. Like, there's no charge on these Zealots. There's no Adepts with Resonating Glaives. It's barely Blink, which I think he's making entirely because he saw a Liberator and got spooked by it. Blink's not even like the best thing for him right now. Stalkers aren't even the best thing for him right now.
Yeah, especially not when it comes to like all of this anti-armor that's out there. I mean, you got Marauders, you had for a brief moment that Cyclone. I guess that's not there anymore, but even still, like you were actually saying earlier, it's like, well, Colossus are kind of made to deal with this big bio ball, but just not really capable of doing that. Some nice harassment coming in here. The Warp Prism making it all the way past the missile turrets, dropping off 4 Adepts into the main.
Yeah, but this is also cleaned up fairly easily. A few SCVs might go down for this, but Kelazhur sitting on 3 bases certainly has the mules to cover his ass should this have gotten a little too far. In fact, taking a quick peek at the income graph, it's been surprisingly back and forth, actually. I thought HerO would have been really far behind with how long it took him to take that 3rd base, but as we can see, both players jumping up and down, and now HerO taking his 4th. I guess I should ask really quick, too, do you know how to use the income graphs and stuff?
Yeah, I've just been like tabbing between them.
Okay, just making sure. Some people actually have no idea, so that's why I was asking.
Well, I don't like talk about it on stream because I'm like, and now I'm going to the income graph because nobody sees it. So
well, you can. I got you. Do it here. Let's talk about the army value real quick.
All right. Well, I'm going to switch to the army value. Well,
whoa!
mostly,
Look at that size. Whoa.
This is actually so sick. So yeah, when it comes to army value, it's safe to say Kelazhur's in a pretty good spot. He's gonna go over here, put pressure on the third. We'll see if HerO's army can deal with it.
I think if Kelazhur really wanted to commit to just sniping that and walking away, he could. But I think he's trying to bait out a longer fight. He wants to get this Colossus. Widowmines want to pop off on whatever they can. Of course, that Liberator is set up in such a nice spot. No blinking forward to take care of that tank, not easily. But realizing there was a fourth, he decides to give up on total dedication, snipes this. I like this move a lot.
Yeah, this actually reminds me a lot of my last relationship, giving up on the total dedication just to take out the fourth base. Either way, that is going to be the blink forward. That siege tank just getting so much damage done from the back, stimming forward to try to take out those Colossus. But that's actually a pretty good trade for HerO.
That sounds like an emotionally abusive relationship, I'm just going to say.
Hey man, you and me both. Still, it does look like there are enough Marauders left. However, the anti-air is actually kind of thinning out here. So,
what? He left this alive with 7 health? Oops.
It's like, wait a second.
It does it again!
What?
I guess he's trying to respond up here with the army. He wants to be able to stim in on top of that if he can, but hopefully he gets that base. I mean, that's going to be a really harsh thing to leave behind. Marauders are still low. They're starting to get one shot, but they're trying to... they dive so deep for the Colossus. That really was questionable.
Yeah, nice job there by HerO to kind of micro that Colossus all the way inside a Warp Prism. How that works, I don't know. It's like Warp Prisms are like the Weasley's trunk in StarCraft.
You don't know how it works? Well, rapid casting to let you know, Warp Prisms have a 6-range pickup. I can't even finish that. It's so stupid.
I'm like, just look at the size.
I know. Well, it's like I like to think of this like Star Trek with a transporter beam. That's how I try and logically make sense of it.
If I try to seriously answer that question, I believe that there's actually like lore about where stuff goes when it comes in from the warp. Every time I talk about the warp, I get really nostalgic for Warhammer 40k, but that is kind of where things go because it's like
for the Emperor.
Nice. No, it's like my only lore that I like more than actual StarCraft. But here we go. We're dropping the Widow Mines right on top of the Colossus. He's actually going to get one to detonate, and that's going to make stimming forward to clear that up all too easy.
GG.
Kelazhur. So good. Sick defense at the beginning, solid macro afterwards, sick push to end it. Makes me feel good, Rifkin.
You need to do one of those chef moves, you know, like with like, mwah. It's
Mwah.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
So good. I gotta get my okay hand sign emoji going on.
Oh, careful though, because if you put it below your waist, then you get to punch people.
Don't worry, I'm not just gonna like tilt my camera down all of a sudden. I'm not that mean, Rifkin.
All right, not in map pool. So for those who don't know, the BTSL has a loser's pick format. So if you lose, you get to choose the next map. I'm just going to paste HerO though because he doesn't appear to know the maps. Because for those who don't know, as with the Ting qualifiers, we are slowly over this next week going to be integrating all the new maps from the next season into our map pool. And we've removed Echo and Habitation Station and brought them, or replaced them with Cactus Valley and Belshire Vestige. But we'll give him a second here to figure out what he wants. Yep. Kelazhur's probably pretty happy with that win. I think he played that really well, and there wasn't a question of, like, maybe he got lucky. I think he had a lot of control. And before anyone starts spouting off, like, Terra and Imba, right? Because Kelazhur's up, like, 40 army supply and this, that. It wasn't because his macro was so good. HerO gave up so much and failed in 2 attacks prior to, like, when the game became really serious. And it's for me, like, I'm not going to pretend like Protoss isn't struggling in this matchup right now. There's statistics that say they are. But moments like that, that's the one time I'm like, Kelazhur he really earned that win, and it had nothing to do with balance.
Yeah, and it's not even just like balance. Like, that was a really weird build that HerO came out with. Like, I don't think I've seen. I watched pretty much all of like the GSL games out here. I have not seen that style of push, like the one immortal forward and just sick positioning there. Great hold by Kelazhur. And it's not just that, like Terran's beating a Protoss, oh my god, but it's about like how you're doing that. And for Kelazhur, it took a lot of micro, a lot of like planning and thought behind his positioning. He had a couple of like 6 snipes. The Cyclone actually did kill an air unit at some point. Oh my goodness. So yeah, just actually pretty cool to watch. So glad to see Kelazhur already having success after moving out here to the BaseTradeTV house in Korea.
Well, he's having some pretty decent success beforehand, but accept that invite, dude.
I'm trying to attribute 100% of his value as a player to being in a house sponsored by BaseTradeTV, Ripken. Let me have this moment.
I'll give you. I'll tell you. I'll trade you that moment for you joining the lobby. How's that sound?
I would have to have an invite. Ah, there we go.
I invited you 3 times. It's timed out twice. This is the 3rd one.
It's okay. Well, clearly I need to have a second monitor, but here we go. And now HerO's actually named HerO1. So, he's in the clan HerO1.
He was as well beforehand, but it didn't show up. So we'll see if it does or doesn't. But as far as actually talking about the BaseTradeTV house for a moment, I really don't want to get. Hang on, is Kelazhur here? Oh, he's not. Yeah, that's all right. Okay. I don't want to get like pompous with it though, because the thing is, as much as it would be super fun to brand it and sell it as such, like Kelazhur was a phenomenal player prior to coming here, and I hope he gets better while at the house for certain. But one thing I think is really important is we're not like I don't know how to phrase this. Like you were there when we were talking about this, and you saw us in Korea and stuff. And the idea for this house really is just to provide. Like it's like a passion project, we're not making money off of it, and I don't want to try and steal the claim to fame of any of these players who stay in it. Like if Time is the next breakout player from China, it's not going to be necessarily because of us, but will certainly maybe in part be because he got to train in the house.
I mean, it's just a great initiative too, and at least from hanging out there with some of the people, it's just like it's a pretty sick practice environment. Like they've grouped people up based on the races that they play, and it's just really productive.
Basically they did segregation of the players in the house. Poor Cloudy's like off on the corner of the desk all on his own. It's like the only Protoss in the house.
Well, it's okay, he can learn how to beat the other races by spying on them.
Yeah. I'm excited though because we do have plans to do a lot of in-house content too. So while you're going to see some of these guys come out to tournaments like this that are open and everybody and anybody can play, we got some exclusively like Scarlet versus Kelazhur, Major versus Time, stuff like that hopefully planned for the future. But looks like the clan tag is working, so I can lose the little text add-on. Boop. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the BTSL. This is a tournament powered by Twitch. This prize pool and everything else for it comes from Twitch, so big thank you to them for making this happen. But spawning down here to the south, he's going to be not the Team Root HerO, but the ex-Team Liquid Team Revolutions HerO.
That is actually true. I forgot that HerO used to be on Root as well, but let's go ahead and introduce his opponent, the now blue Terran player. This is Root Gaming's Kelazhur. He's actually still on Root Gaming, so.
Well, actually, no, because the other HerO, XCJ HerO, was just picked up by Root like this week, so he's actually on Root now.
Well, I'm actually just behind in my Korean pro gamer pickups then.
Wait, did you not see the amazing hype video they made for it? They did like Bonnie Tyler's like I need a HerO and everything. It was so good. You need to go watch that later.
Somebody needs to tweet that at Rapid Casting so that I can see it and plug my Twitter at the same
yeah,
time.
Say nice Twitter plug, bro.
Well played.
Speaking of the other HerO, by the way, he is in the brackets, and he's actually advanced to go fight against Bunny, who's been really a great up-and-comer lately. So I wish them both the best of luck. But here in game number 2, Kelazhur is getting a little bit cheeky, and
That's not where barracks go, Kelazhur.
Well, he loses some timing because he had trapped his SCV on the wrong side of it, so it's a little bit awkward. That Reaper's not going to get here right away, but that probe's also... Oh, is he going to find this? Oh, he's... Oh, yeah. Okay, there we go.
Okay, there we go. I'm sure you've done this and like gone back and watched the replay afterwards where you scout and you either stop your scout like right before the building or like you just like move just barely so it's still in the fog of war.
Oh, silly Rapid Casting. You think I scout? Please, it's Turtle 2 base mech. Hello?
was gonna say, scouting is actually just inefficient. You're a bad player if you do that because you lose resources. Well, now we get a chance to see how effective these Reapers are. He has to make sure that he doesn't get surrounded, though.
Well, so there's some general rules of thumb to this, and normally you're supposed to get about 4 probes if you do this proxy Reaper correctly, but unfortunately, only getting 2 so far, and of course, that Reaper very weak's got to be careful not to take any more damage.
Wow, I was actually really impressed by that probe control.
Dank memes! Starport coming down as well.
Can you help me out a little bit here, Rifkin? I need some.
So Beyond would do this, right?
Knowledge.
Like, Beyond proxies, or used to, proxy a lot versus Protoss, and he would proxy everything, not just the barracks and the starport, but he'd bring the factory too. But the factory at home with the Cyclone's gonna guarantee defense. I think he assumes there's a pylon coming down because it's A, it's HerO, and B, it's Protoss. But the fact that he does the starport on proxy like this, you push out that Liberator. If the mothership core's across the map, there's no pylon behind the mineral lines. Frankly, if that starport cranks at a Liberator, HerO's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I mean, what is there to deal with that? I mean, as great as Adepts are, they don't shoot up, so this is going to be really, really sick when it does come out. Instead, it looks like he's going to go Cloak Banshee.
Oh, that's actually, in my opinion, a little more dangerous than the Liberator, because as we see a Stargate coming down, a Phoenix could eventually push off a Liberator. I actually really like the Stargate in general out of HerO. I think he's doing this just as a precaution because he doesn't know what's coming, and whether it's a Void Ray, whether it's a Phoenix, these are really nice catch-all units. The fact that he didn't open with an Oracle is what tells me that this is a little more defensive, because if it's the Oracle, you're sending it right across the map.
Well, he's actually going to be starting that Phoenix production, just having one. I'm always that person that automatically assumes that every single Phoenix is just a hallucination, and then I wind up losing stuff to it because I don't care. And then I'm, oh, okay, well. And he also is going to perfectly scout this Cloak Banshee, too. So this is just like
So perfect. This is going to be interesting amounts of trouble. The 2 Cyclones coming down the map are going to tear through a Pylon and an Adept, and frankly, could do a lot of damage to HerO. But the nice thing about choosing the Phoenix over the Void Ray is the Phoenix can lift them up and hold them in range of the overcharge, so they can remove them from the fight. I mean, there's a lot of crowd control with this, but right now he's camping over the starport, fully expecting a Banshee. And for those who don't know, Banshees are classified as light units, so they will take the bonus damage from this Phoenix.
I'm actually really curious. So he keeps the Banshee producing. If he lets it finish here, yeah, there we go. Man, that feel of when you just like forget to cancel, or you forget to, you know, morph your Hydras into Lurkers, you like forget to like do that one thing that drastically changes the way that the game goes. Well, thankfully he remembered to cancel that. Also cancels the cloak too, so all of those resources coming back his way.
I'm wondering if, because Kelazhur's been there for about a week or so now, and I'm sure he's been. Well, a little less than a week,
like
I guess.
3-4 days ago. But yeah,
was it only 3 or 4 days? I thought it was longer. Okay, well, my point of this was, though, how much ladder has he grinded? Like, HerO had such a perfect counter to this. Either he's so used to the other Terrans like Beyond and others being cheesy, because again, he's the guy we think of doing proxies, not Kelazhur. So he knew to do this like perfect response to the Phoenix, or if this is like Kelazhur specific. Either way, HerO's defense has put him ahead this game. He got that natural down so quick. His probe count's fantastic. Looks like the Widowmine got a bit of pepper on these Phoenix, but nothing too bad.
HerO's actually even going to be able to take out the starport too, just because it's definitely not as fast as those Phoenix are. So, tries to land it.
Landing gear? What? It's like stuck. The debris in the air. Okay, that was weird.
This is like, I feel like Kelazhur is trying to play like the Terran version of Haz, where you just like build your entire base out on the map, but unfortunately it doesn't work quite as well for Terran. Scan goes down to see if there's a third, and so Kelazhur can at least tell, hey, you know, we're staying on 2 base for now, unless there's that super sneaky, you know, base that you can take by skipping your third and then saying, oh, well, I don't have a 3rd base yet. You actually do, but that's not what's happening here. What we are seeing, 2 Adepts dropped from the base. They're going to take that Widowmine hit and be forced back out by the 2 Cyclones. I'm not following the rules, Rifkin. I'm talking like way too much about actual StarCraft, so I apologize for not fitting into the BaseTradeTV mold. I'm doing my best.
Hey, actually, I got a bit of an off question for you here. Have you been following that SpaceX program and stuff by Elon Musk?
I have. I was actually followed by Elon Musk for all of about 10 minutes.
What? Okay,
Yeah.
this is more interesting than where I was going. What's the story with that? Like on Twitter, you mean, or?
I'm guessing, his like Twitter, like social media manager person just like had a long night the night before, came back and was like, because I had like tweeted at him a couple of times and I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. I guess I'm just like followed now. And then I like checked like 30 minutes later and I wasn't followed anymore. So unlucky. Still a hashtag man. Big fan of his cars and stuff. But back to what you were saying.
Well, hang on. The Phoenix come in. They're going to lift up these. And like I said, this is a big problem. You remove them from the fight. 2 Cyclones defending against these Adepts, no problem. But the Phoenix removing even just one of them makes this a bit more of a struggle. But the Marines, the Marauders, they're going to catch the Warp Prism, and he pushes this back.
It's that 20 HP nerf on the Warp Prism. Would have gotten away. Actually, probably wouldn't have.
I don't think it would have. There was a lot of Stim Marines, yeah.
I just always like to make fun of that nerf because it actually just doesn't change that much about a Warp Prism. It can still probably, I was going to make a joke, but it was too complicated for my tiny brain to work at this hour in the morning. Either way, yeah, we're going to see the harassment pushed out, but the Phoenixes are still going to be able to get in there because Kelazhur is moving out, much like I did at my parents' house.
Well, these Marines did trigger the stasis trap. That's kind of nice, but as you pointed out, we got that push on the left side. So Kelazhur looking to knock down that third, and well, Phoenix can take on a small amount of units fairly easily. I'm not sure they'll be able to deal with this, even though the Colossus is out.
He's gonna lift up 5 Marines, Rifkin.
Well, maybe jokes aside, like taking the Marauders out temporarily might be the damage the Colossus need. I don't know, because one Colossus, no extended thermal lance, these Marauders are gonna knock it down. The bigger they are, the harder they fall and all that.
It's just a sick timing. Those overcharges are not actually even going to be that effective. Okay, one's getting some work done, but with some nice force field, HerO actually is able to defend pretty well.
Yeah, the force fields are definitely being the big MVPs to push that back out of Kelazhur, but unfortunately, what's really annoying about these Phoenix is he can never really pull off drops. Like, he's never going to be able to just sneak in a medevac. He can't just throw 3 off to the side. You risk getting caught by the Phoenix, and that's not something he wants to do. But he does get his third up in a timely manner, and Kelazhur's not going to start falling behind with some sort of 2-base all-in.
Yeah, I was actually keeping an eye on TY's play, because he's actually going to be playing a little bit later on today in GSL, and one of the things that he uses, Innovation does this too, whenever you feel like there's this impregnable base that you just can't get inside. Instead of just going for all of these drops, you just like stay back and you're like, wait a second, I can actually just get 200 supply with crazy upgrades.
Oh, and this is that problem right here, by the way. Oh, wait, did HerO really not see that?
Wait, what?
He flew right next to 4 medevacs. That's got to be a mistake. Or the sickest bait. I mean, that's a lot of pylons and cannons ready to fight, but as we see Marauders tear through buildings, no problem. Those Phoenix missing out on a huge opportunity to stop this drop.
That's literally what they're there for, Rifkin. And instead of being able to completely stop this drop, it's going to get into the base and deal terrible, terrible damage.
Left side's got a pretty nice attack going too. This doesn't have a medevac with it, so it'll be cleaned up, but it gets a lot of probe kills. He gets the Colossus in the main too. Looks to try and get the other one, but a lot of units in the air, and this is that problem. Graviton Beam is a huge crowd control mechanic.
Wow, okay, so HerO is actually going to be able to clean this up. That's actually so impressive. It's at that point when I'm playing ladder that I just get so frustrated that my multitasking is being stressed so much, but HerO actually split pretty well.
If HerO had killed the medevacs, I would have said that was a great defense, but he did lose a Colossus, a fair amount of army, and 14 probes on top of that. Looks like he's trying to catch the medevacs here in the middle of the map, but I like the way that went for Kelazhur a little bit better. Colossus, obviously, way harder to produce than an extra 5 Marines and a couple of Marauders.
Yeah, and if you just look at income, that's actually just going to tell the story ahead on workers, also with mules coming in. I mean, Kelazhur is just going to be macroing like an absolute monster. I wish, actually, if I had to, add one tab to the production to be able to see, exactly, the rate at which units are being produced, like an average number for that.
But rapid casting, don't you cast Brood War? Don't you agree less information is better?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to cast with my eyes closed, Rifkin.
I hate that idea where like Brood War is better because you see less information. I'm like, no.
It's almost like different things are better for different reasons. It's almost like things that are different, Rifkin. Oh my god.
And this is that problem. This is why Kelazhur is always going to struggle with drops, but he's going to unload most of the cargo. So I still lose the medevac with a good chunk of units in it. Could be much worse. Although all 3 medevacs going down is pretty nasty.
Wow,
all things considered,
saved all of his Phoenix too.
Well, there's that aspect of it too, but you got to consider what Terran's doing at this point. Even if you're in double starport production, which I don't think he is. No, he's not. You want to be producing like 2 Vikings at a time by now, 2 Liberators at a time. You don't want to have to still keep producing medevacs because you're losing them to these Phoenix the whole game. It's a subtle but another big part of how those interact with the matchup. That being said, though, 2-2's finishing up for Kelazhur, and more to the point, his army supply is massive. HerO's kind of taken a bit of a risk here by doubling down, by going for both Colossus and Storm. Okay, maybe that 30 supply doesn't matter because it all disappears in one big splash attack. Magikarp, right? But at the same time, it is such an overwhelming amount of supply. If you don't get it, if Kelazhur splits, then you're just dead.
That is definitely true. And I mean, we're going to see whether or not that is the case here. We've got the big bio ball, the BBB, pushing forward. People like to call it like M&M because it's Medivacs Marines, but there's also Marauders, so it could be like triple M or triple B. But either way, nice control there by HerO, just trying to pick off every little thing while he can. And this is his next engage is actually going to be where that very low Medivac number could actually really hurt Kelazhur's chance at winning these fights. Or not, because he's not going to engage. He's actually just walking back home.
Yeah. Also,
well, that was anticlimactic.
Sorry about that. I just gonna say real quick. I guess people have been subbing. I'm not sure if we've just been actually not noticing. I don't think I've been seeing the notification come up though. I'll test it after this game, guys, and see what's going on. That might just be my bad. We'll get caught up though with a big round of shoutouts when we get some downtime. 4th base though gonna get sort of denied. I mean the SCV getting pulled off kind of sucks, but so he puts that back on fairly quick. Fight in the middle's got a lot of open space. It's going to be really hard to hit those storms and more difficult to use force fields in this engagement. But Kelazhur, I love this already. Like, he doesn't over-dedicate. He barely takes any storm damage. And as we saw, just a little bit of storms can do a lot of damage.
Absolutely, and those were not actually the greatest storms. The force fields also came really, really late, but able to just keep the Terran army at bay and just shave off little tiny parts of it. You know, it's like Tigers and bouncing. That's what Protoss do best. So really nice to see. You know, the great control there, just keeping this Terran army back and back. And I mean, even though Protoss is down about 20 supply, it doesn't really tell the entire story because most of the Protoss.
I'm looking more like 40 on that army tab, man. I think that's a lot scarier of a number to look at.
Well, most of the Protoss army is like splash damage, so you've got things like all those storms built up, the Colossus from behind.
Oh, feedbacks maybe on the medevacs. No, he goes for storm. Why did you storm a medevac?
What? Yeah, okay. All right, that's one way to do it. I mean, so many overcharges are actually going to be able to clear most of this up.
But
so
I think a big problem with this, though, is the army coming back to defend this. Now leaves this base, and this army segmented, fragmented, and a little bit smaller. You know, Marines don't deal well with storms, but Marauders, they've got that little bit of extra health. A Templar or two will not stop. I'm not sure what was going on up here. I guess a misrouted Colossus. Oh, boy. But Kelazhur's got Ghost out. EMP is now an option. Very much more deadly for HerO than it is for Kelazhur. And we'll see if he can hit those EMPs.
All right, well, moving forward, a couple of Widow Mines actually do not wind up getting the hits that they need, and at least some of that army does survive. A bunch of the Marauders, more importantly, like you said, just beefy enough to make it out of there alive.
Yeah, Liberators would be great to have, but he keeps flying them in, and what little ones he makes, he loses very quickly. Widow Mines were denying this base too, but those have been cleaned up, and surprisingly, both players are not in too bad of a spot after that. I thought Kelazhur was going to get way more damage done, but once more, HerO has a pretty decent defense. But okay, let's squeeze this in real quick. So, anyways, have you heard about the SpaceX program for their restaurant?
For the restaurant, no.
Yeah, it's actually going to be on one of the space stations. It's going to have great food, good service, but no atmosphere.
Oh my god. Get me out of here. I'm supposed to be the addition to the show that has the bad jokes, Rift.
I hate it because I used that joke like less than 12 hours ago on the Theanus stream.
Well, actually, see, that's what I'm doing tonight. I'm actually just practicing all of the jokes I'm going to use on GSL on this stream, and then hopefully the viewership doesn't overlap enough for people to, you know, call me out for being a fraud and reusing jokes in the same day.
Oh, well, don't worry. Everyone, I'm sure, will be busy complaining in chat for about a million other reasons. It's
well, there's going to be all those Brood War apologists in chat all day long. There's
actually,
like one...
if you ever worried about chat, right? Let me give you these pro tips, rapid cast, from one caster to another. All right, let's say you're feeling particularly self-conscious on a GSL cast, right? You're worried that you just made a bad call. You want to deflect attention from it. You just gotta drop my name, and you're gonna have a bunch of people in chat be like, "Fuck BaseTradeTV." They're not even gonna care about talking about you. They'll be like, "That Rifkin guy's an asshole."
Well, strangely enough, it's almost like people say bad things about just about everything, no matter what it is. So, let's actually take an. I was like almost sure the game was ending there for a second. I was like, wait,
know
no,
that Doom
it's not
drop.
enough army. Yeah, turns out the drop itself was what was doomed, Rifkin. Aha.
Haha.
Aha.
All right, well, looks like he should. No, he's not going to get the War Prism. That's a little unfortunate, because now his army's on the wrong side of the map. He's taking 20 ACVs worth of losses. This wasn't made into a planetary or anything, so he's got to abandon his ship and evacuate the base. And for Kelazhur, he's actually hitting this point where I didn't realize how badly mined out he was. He needs a base mining, and losing this command center really hurts.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this is actually not Brood War where you can stay on 2 bases forever. You do actually have to expand. That's why I love Legacy of the Void so much, because it does force you to move out there on the map.
Wait. Back it up. This isn't Brood War? I thought we were guessing Brood War this whole time.
Well, clearly that's why people hate you so much, Rifkin. You thought it was a different game.
Fucking Rifkin.
I know, right?
Are these all Marauders? I don't think it's like any Marines in this drop. It's like 1 Marine. Oh, this is going to be a beefy as hell drop to knock down a Nexus, but Kelazhur's heading to the National, and just the same way his base is mined out, so is HerO's. Killing this base isn't actually that great.
I feel like both of our players kind of at some point forgot to expand and get more minerals from somewhere, because you do kind of got to do that. So many Marauders here means that he's actually going to be able to target down this assimilator. Oh, also the Nexus too. So he will get that. He doesn't actually get
this
the
is where it gets good,
assimilator.
though. If he gets to the main, if he starts killing some of the actual production, that's going to be amazing. But he's killing like a pylon. He's finding himself spread a little bit thin. And this didn't draw HerO back. HerO's actually pushing forward with this while this goes on. Blink Stalkers and Colossus aplenty. No EMPs landing, but Storm's pushing that back on the front line. And Kelazhur's drop. I guess he's killing a lot of the Stalkers, so he should be able to pick up and get out of here. No, he's going to lose everything.
Oh my God, sick as Storms too as HerO retreats backwards. So even though he did lose his main Nexus, the Nexus was probably the most useless building in the game, because I mean there's no minerals there. Okay, there's 110 minerals there, but nobody cares about that Nexus. Like the Nexus was pretty useless aside from, like, you know, being able to make probes, which he really doesn't care about. So I think HerO actually came out pretty far ahead in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, to make a note though, Kelazhur getting the gold base is really nice. That'll help keep his economy afloat. He floats his main over to the 4th, so he's getting back on track. But I'm wondering if this gap in income is going to be what kills him, because right now his army it's great, 100 and something supply, but you know, he never got the +3 armor upgrades going. His ghost count's lower than I think he wishes it was, and there's a lot of stalkers coming in that front line. They really want to focus down these liberators. Actually, did he ever? He never got Liberator range.
No, he did not. That's actually an upgrade that I almost never see. I mean, if you go super late, then eventually they'll get it. That's like the first upgrade I make. That thing is so good, especially against Protoss, who just have very little ways to deal with that. Now coming around, trying for this flank here, forcing Kelazhur to reposition his Liberators. They will get into position in time.
So that was interesting. The EMPs actually got the bulk of the army, so as we can see, all the shields are gone. But they missed the Templars, so they didn't get to deny the Storms. And I think, honestly, if your Ghost is going to die for it, shutting down Storms is almost more worthwhile. And Kelazhur's got to pull that army back to defend. He's really got to consolidate and concave on this. He knows that's why he's just kind of giving up some of his production. He's letting HerO take these kills so he can get in position to take a fight from behind. As he flanks in, Ghost have got those EMPs. He wants to get in the front lines.
Vikings are hitting those Colossus, is repositioning, trying to now maybe kind of retreat here, but I don't know if Kelazhur's got a good angle to come in on this. He's going to try.
Oh, he lost his command center too. Not something he can really afford to do. His drop to the south also got shut down. No SCV's mining on this base. This is really scary. If Kelazhur kills the army, he's going to win this game, but if he trades with the army, he's going to lose this game.
I'm not even sure if he can trade. Actually, some nice hits there. That Liberator's doing some work here, and with Colossus starting to fall there, even, I guess Immortal's not so immortal there either. That was actually much more even than I expected.
Yeah, but it still comes down to the fact that HerO's mining and Kelazhur's barely mining, so I'm really worried for him. Not to mention he just gave up a bunch of his tech lab production, so we saw earlier 5 Marauders at a time, now it's 2.
I mean, the production is actually better for Kelazhur just because he's not, you know, he's still, you know, making things consistently. But I mean, that army is just like has such insane tech value. You've got I guess Templar continuing to get juicier and juicier as they fill up with energy. 3 Colossus is just going to be so rough to deal with.
The Colossus at this point, I don't even know the biggest part of this. I think at this point, if HerO just makes pure Adepts, that'll be more than enough. They can shade through the Liberators. GG's get called. HerO ties up the series 1-1. And we do, in fact, have a series on our hand, which is great. First game of the day. First best of 3 of the day. Ends up being better than most of these other 2-0s that we're seeing on the bracket.
You ever have just those days where all your casting is just like 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, and it's like, okay, well, now what do I do? It's
those aren't fun either. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, it's sometimes cool to watch Scarlet line them up and knock them down, but then you're at, like, cool. That was 1 hour for 6 best of 3s. Like, what the fuck? That being said,
sometimes it feels like you're speed running through everything, but it's nice to see 2 players who are at least pretty evenly matched.
Yeah. So it is going to be Kelazhur's pick. We're going to go to our first commercial break of the day, guys. Do us a favor, watch, stick around, and we'll be back in 2 minutes, hopefully with the next game ready to go. All right, guys, welcome back. I'm just currently berating Rapid Casting over not leaving the previous game, so I couldn't invite him to the new one.
And I was going to say that the last time that I was in a StarCraft 2 custom game lobby, geez, that must have been like 8 years ago, it's like 6 or 7 years ago, probably.
Yeah, and I guess you probably don't normally get to do your own spectating either, right? Like, you gotta...
No, this is I'm learning on the fly here. It turns out that it's very difficult to spectate StarCraft the same way that you would like League of Legends or something. So
you could always just throw your camera on mine if you want. Like, that's what Zombie does.
That is in fact what I have been doing. I was just like, Rifkin, save me, and then you'll just like keep the camera in one place. I'm like, no, Rifkin, move the camera. And then I realized that I'm capable of moving the camera myself. It's like, oh my goodness, I can actually do something on the screen.
Yeah, I guess a quick little rundown for those who don't know. Like, at GSL, and this happened for us when we were in the Alima League Finals too, you're given like a clean feed type thing. You have no control. You're not actually in StarCraft. You're just basically watching the game as if you were watching a VOD, but talking about it at the same time. So I guess that's kind of the format Rapid's used to, which I thought was so very strange the first time I had to do that. I'm like, oh, I feel like I've been... I don't know, like, had my hands tied behind my back trying to cast StarCraft. It's a different experience. It really is.
Yeah, it really is. There's definitely pros and cons to a lot of it. Like, if you're actually hands-on, and this is the way that we did it for like Pro League and SSL. Rest in peace. Is that we'd have one computer that was just showing the clean feed, and then we'd also have another computer that was that you could like use to get like details and stats. And I think that's actually like 10 out of 10 best way to do it. So you get kind of the best of both worlds. But yeah, there's definitely that point in time where I'm like standing there and I really want to check this stat, but I can't. So that's definitely a plus of being able to do it this way.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we said, we've got a series on our hands, and things are tied up now, 1-1. In the bottom right, we got the Red Terran, the foreigner from Root Gaming, Kelazhur.
And his opponent on the other side, the first time I get to introduce this player literally ever, this is HerO, now on Team Revolution.
Yeah. I was actually a little bit taken back when I thought HerO was going to retire entirely. I was really sad because this guy, for no other reason, forget his play and forget his results or anything like that, I just love that he was one of the Koreans that showed emotion. No one else was really doing it, and he was literally like crying after defeats and stuff, and it was really cool to see a player do something like that. So when he retired, for me, he was like one of the first Koreans I guess I humanized. That was really sad. But then he's playing a little bit more casually. He's been streaming a lot, and I'm just glad he's still doing StarCraft, I suppose. But I definitely miss like that Team Liquid contender.
I think for a lot of or for a long time, while he was up at the upper echelon of play, that's one of the things that pretty much everybody loved about him. It's like he's super good. He plays in a bunch of tournaments, and he like shows so much emotion. That's one of the really cool things about watching StarCraft 2 now is that you actually get to see not only a lot of players streaming, but showing more emotion, interacting with chat even. It's one of my favorite parts of watching guys like Sue, because he has a translator that stays in chat and like translates what he's saying.
Yeah.
So it's actually just like super sick. to be able to like watch players and interact and all kinds of cool stuff like that. So we're watching some crazy stuff going on. We had an eBay block of the mineral line at the natural for HerO, and now we've got a pylon coming down right in front.
Oh, this is a little bit awkward for Kelazhur. He pulls the Marines back because if you guys don't know, Mothership Corps can take on like 5 or 6 Marines if they're coming in one at a time, but can only take on 3 if they're all together. So lock on from the Cyclone, couple of Marines getting some shots off. He should be able to push this back, but certainly annoying knowing that you're going to lose the reactor to this.
I'm actually kind of curious which does less damage, the auto attacks from the Mothership Core or the anti-air attacks from the Cyclone. So I'm pretty sure they're both basically tickles.
They might actually be equivalent because I think I've heard both of them related to the damage of Marine. I would love to actually do the unit tester and find out. See what, like, have 3 Mothership Cores lined up and like a Marine, a Cyclone.
See, that's the great part about casting is it's like interactive. When we don't know something, we can just ask somebody to tweet it at us, and somebody out there knows, because our audience is entirely based of super crazy nerds that know these things.
Yeah, or people who just want to prove us wrong. That's the dynamic I've found, and it's like a helpful wrong though, because like, well, Rifkin, I don't hate you, but you're wrong.
Yeah. It's like they said that Marines deal 4 damage and they deal 4.325.
It's still 6 damage rapid casting. You know that, right?
It's still 6. I mean, it was an arbitrary number used purely for humorous effect, Rifkin. God. Now I see why everybody hates you. Oh my God. We should actually like get together afterwards and like share our like hate threads and figure out who's more hated in our respective communities. Alternatively,
well, actually, the other side of this. I actually, the most enjoyable part for me in Korea was sitting down with Artosis and Tasteless, and we all just talked about like what we hate about Reddit or Team Liquid, or like the things that are like just so annoying to us as the content creators, I guess. So it was a fun conversation.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to focus on, this is just like a small anecdote that I don't want to dwell on, is that, you know, whenever I, you know, say that, you know, I don't like someone, or somebody says that they don't like me or whatever, it's like, it's important to know that, like, we're not talking about, like, unanimously. Like, it's not that I actually just hate every human, or, like, if you use this website, you're the worst person. It's just that, you know, I feel like there's a big community, so there's going to be some interesting ideas thrown around here and there, and I think that needs to be taken into perspective a little bit more. But nice Widow Mine hit on these adepts coming forward, takes the shields off too, but here comes the Raven! Auto turret ahoy! And he's actually going to be doing a great job at clearing out this adept harass, I think. Yes, there we go.
What's funny is, had he actually gone through with the transfer, it would have put him in an awkward spot where they would have at least lived to kill some RCVs. Auditors deal such a stupid amount of damage, but Kelazhur did have to.
Disgusting.
So Kelazhur struggled with this last game. Phoenixes were a problem, and looks like they might just be again. They'll pick up the Marines, they'll pick up the tank. It's a lot of really annoying kills. The Raven is a light unit too, so it's gonna go down. Oh, ouch.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Anyways,
the lone Cyclone is not gonna be able to deal with those Phoenix. I actually just think he didn't see necessarily that heavy of a Phoenix commitment coming.
I like this out of HerO though.
It's such a different style.
Like, HerO realized this worked for him last game, so going for it again I think is smart. But he's shaking it up this time, Rapid.
Yeah, there's actually just like not so much to deal with that. He's actually going to go in, snipe a mule, get out without losing any Phoenixes. And here comes the Warp Prism, 4 more Adepts on its way.
Well, I was talking more about the Dank Shrine coming up next. But yeah, the Phoenix is certainly getting away with a couple of kills. Is annoying. I think the worst part is, and this applies to all races, right? You put a cannon, a turret, a Spore Crawler. Phoenixes don't really care. They'll just fly away really quick afterwards. Take a little bit of damage.
They're just chilling. I mean, they literally have like 60 HP and about double that for shields, but it's not. It turns out it doesn't really matter. Now, I was really worried about that Widow Mine, but he's actually going to come in right below it, let off the Adepts, and like you said, yeah, Dark Shrine Man going to be kicking in here pretty soon.
I don't imagine we'll get to see any cool Blink builds out of these DTs, but having them on the field will certainly be annoying.
Can I just like confirm with you that like the Blink upgrade for Dark Templar is the coolest ability in StarCraft? Like, is that not just so sick?
I disagree, actually.
Well, okay, what is the coolest ability?
Well, before we talk about the coolest ability, I want to, like, I guess, take apart why I don't think the Blink DT thing is cool. like when we saw, like everyone got so hyped when Nightmare did that, right? And it was like, oh
Yeah.
my freaking god! But then it's literally that one exclusive area of the game is the only time it seems to have worked, because every other part it's too expensive, it comes too late, and the DTs are too big of an investment for. But also, what bothers me is how lazy they were with the upgrade, because it's literally the blink icon, but like a little smudge over it too. They didn't. Like here, can I click on the Dark Shrine? No, I can't see it if I click it. But there's in my opinion a lot more cooler abilities in the game. Even something like a little bit old and basic like Neural Parasite has so much more cooler opportunities presented. Whether you're like stealing a battle cruiser and using it to Yamato the rest of them, or taking a probe so you can build your own carriers. Like, I don't know. I feel like there are a lot more cooler abilities in my books, but that's an opinion. That's like not a fact.
Well, everything in the world is cooler than watching a Depth harass with a Warp Prism. This is like, oh, I can come down here and deal damage, and oh, by the way, I can get picked up from a million miles away. Like if you're like ridiculously attractive and you go out for a night in the town, that's basically a Warp Prism because you can get picked up from really far away.
I guess when you're thinking about it, the Warp Prism is kind of Tinder in that way, I guess.
The Tinder Prism coming in with a hot pickup.
Is that what we're going to have to call it for the rest of this cast? Because that's what it sounds like we're going to have to call it for the rest of this cast.
I feel like, I don't know, their marketing arm is going to reach out to us and be like, well, you know, we don't actually enjoy being associated with whatever. But he's going to come in here and actually should drop an Adept to stop this command center. Yep, picks off the SCV and doesn't afraid of anything because it's Warp Prism. But here comes a big push from Kelazhur, so that's something that we can talk about. Terran doing Terran things, splitting preemptively, Widow Mine's Burrow, Liberation Zone setup.
I really like those fake Colossus he's made. Hallucinations are definitely underutilized in my opinion, and if any shots get wasted into those, it's just not worth it. But the scan helps realize that it's not the case, so the Widow Mines pick real targets instead of fake targets. And Kelazhur's a little bit awkward as he holds position in range of the overcharge. Oops. But Widow Mine's starting to come off cooldown. If he has these for round 2 of the fight, that's going to be fantastic. Liberator's resetting up.
I was actually really worried that those Phoenix were going to get a flank on the Liberators.
That's what it looked like, yeah.
Yeah, they don't actually make it all the way around the side, and even though Kelazhur's army looks pretty small here in comparison, the damage that it does with Stim and, of course, all of those burned Widow Mines, it's going to make it very difficult to deal with.
Well, the Widow Mines get picked up, so unfortunately that's so great. But he will remove some of the Phoenix problem he's been struggling with. And, well, he's going to lose his army. I think he gets some good trades out of this. He's not going to get the Nexus, unfortunately, and that kind of sucks.
There's just like, I don't know, defecting Marauders and Marines actually just like chilling out, not helping the rest of his army fight. And he actually does not lose his entire army. He's going to get away with all of his medevacs.
I think... Yeah, getting the medevacs out, that's huge. We talked about this last game, right? Like, Kelazhur wasn't able to start producing a lot of Liberators. He couldn't make a lot of Vikings. He had to keep making the medevacs. He was losing. So, keeping 3 of these alive is a much bigger deal than simply cost efficiency.
That's actually a really good point, because when you're remaking medevacs, you can't make the Vikings that you need later on to be able to deal with things like if he does transition into Colossus. Those are fake Colossus, but, I mean, they might be coming up here.
I'm thinking Liberators right now, obviously, more than anything else. But yeah, like, just anything on the starport basically screws if you can't build with it. And I think if this is late in the game, right, 5 base Terra, you've got 2 starports. That's not an issue, but it's still that early in the game where it is.
Last game, expanding became a really big issue as both players were kind of stuck on 3.5, 4 bases, and started to mine out there towards the end. Curious to see if that'll work a little bit differently this time around, just because especially when you're expanding northward, those bases can be a little bit easier to protect with the destructible debris.
I just got to interrupt. I'm not sure what's going on with your mic. It sounds like you're fidgeting with it or something. Or I don't know. It's making some noises.
Okay, that was actually the arm of my chair brushing up against the super high-cost mic holder, which is actually...
It sounds sarcastic.
Well, we'll talk about my high-quality setup here in a little bit as an inspirational story about how literally anybody can cast. You don't have to have a bunch of money to do it. But we're going to see a big drop come in here for Kelazhur up at the 3rd base for HerO. Big Warpin, though, should be able to deal with it. Lots of depth, but the Nexus will fall.
That's a really nice snipe for him. HerO's not screwed by this move, but it's certainly going to be expensive to get that base back up and running. And Kelazhur was taking harass throughout the course of this game, but he's doing a lot better at dealing with it now. The Warp Prism goes down. The Phoenixes were removed from the game, and typically you're not nobody remakes those 5 Phoenix. HerO's same as everybody else, so Kelazhur's got a lot of good things going for him, and this Marauder count is certainly one of them.
Wow. Yeah, even that you can see force fields like, oh no, keep this army away from me because I actually don't want to fight it. It's way too strong. Good force field placement though will whittle off quite a bit of it, but some nice hot pickups there by Kelazhur actually do save a sizable amount.
Well, hang on now. GG's. I guess he's convinced that that army was too big, and certainly was the case.
I mean, okay. I mean, he did lose that third base, so that would have taken time to.
He was down third. He was down 50 army supply. I think he saw how many Marauders there were. I mean, even just at a glance, Kelazhur's army was very noticeably bigger.
Yeah, so I've talked with Scarlett about this because a lot of times people would like criticize her for like leaving games early, and I would talk to her and I was like, hey, you know, why did you leave the game? And she's like, well, from a player perspective, there's actually just no way to win. You're actually just dead. But a lot of times, if you're just a casual viewer, it certainly looks like, oh, that guy just like left the game super early. He still had all of his stuff. Well, yeah, maybe right now, but I mean, players can at least think a few steps ahead and be like, well, there's just no way I'm coming back.